My presentation is about democratic legitimacy. According to Max Weber, legitimacy may be defined as a belief in validity. More precisely, according to Weber, an order is valid if activities are oriented on the basis of maxims related to the order and considered valid for these activities. A maxim is a rule for good or sensible behavior. So perhaps I may repeat, an order is valid when activities are oriented on the basis of maxims related to the order and considered as valid for this activity. Therefore, we speak of democratic legitimacy. We posit that democratic political systems are considered as valid and that people behave according to this belief. It is commonly taken for granted that as far as a democratic system is institutionalized and stabilized, citizens believe in its legitimacy, and democratic legitimacy is the basis of its stability. However, I would like to develop this morning the argument that legitimacy is a very tricky sociological issue. My first point is that there is something like a democratic legitimacy in democratic system, but it remains elusive to social sciences observations. And my second point is that the notion of belief in validity is somewhat unsatisfactory. The very notion of democratic legitimacy is ambiguous. It usually means that democratic political systems are legitimate and that they are legitimate because they are democratic. It could mean that political systems are legitimate insofar as they are democratic. Political systems that are not democratic or not democratic enough would not be considered legitimate. But the qualification of a political system as being democratic or not is normative. It's a normative issue. Everybody knows that there are discussions about the nature of democracy. Many people think that Western political systems are democratic because their governing leaders are elected for free, honest, and competitive elections, which imply civil and political liberties. But many others think that such conditions are not sufficient. Many authors and also ordinary citizens think that representative democracy is not democratic enough. They consider that citizens have not enough powers when they can only choose their representatives every 4 or 5 years. Citizens are said to be turning away from elections. As you know, electoral turnout is declining in almost all Western countries. This discussion about the nature or the quality of democracy is, of course, very interesting and important. But in my view, it cannot be addressed from a social science point of view. Deciding that a political system is democratic is a value judgment and an expression of a political will. I personally agree with Max Weber when he writes that science cannot want or wish anything. Science must limit itself to judgments of reality. If you contend that a political system is or is not democratic, you introduce extra scientific elements in your analysis. Therefore, political scientists or sociologists cannot decide on the democratic character of a political system. They may only observe that some political systems are usually said and considered by many to be democratic, even though imperfectly. In this perspective, when we think about democratic legitimacy, we wonder whether systems regarded as democratic are legitimate, and more precisely, if they are legitimate because they are commonly regarded as democratic. Again, legitimacy is a thorny issue. We posited above that it is a belief in validity. One reason why it is a thorny issue is that there are few diffuse expressions and no official measure of such beliefs or feelings. We do not know to what extent citizens of a democratic regime think that this regime is legitimate or not. Of course, for us, social scientists, political scientists, the legitimacy of democratic regime is very important. However, apart from members of intellectual circles, it is a question that most people do not or only rarely ask themselves. I have worked on hundreds of in-depth interviews for years, but I have rarely, if ever, met anybody who spontaneously questions the democratic legitimacy of the political regime. It is an important point of methodology that, in my view, social scientists should not interview individuals about questions that individuals do not ask themselves. Otherwise, the risk is to collect mere answers. That is to say, artifacts, rather than genuine opinions. As you know, there are many opinion polls that ask interviewees if they trust their government or if they think that the functioning of democracy is satisfactory. We must consider such surveys with caution. Many answers to such questions are given off the cuff, from the top of the head. Many respondents are not really interested in such subjects, and they give an answer because they have to. But it would be naive to consider all answers as genuine, strong opinions. Also, even though interviewees do have opinions, it is unlikely that they conceive democracy in the same way, and therefore it is unlikely that they understand the questions in the same way. Of course, such opinion polls can grasp, in some cases, authentic, explicit beliefs in the legitimacy of democratic regime or government, but not all answers can be regarded as true opinions about democratic legitimacy. Also, answers may be affected by extraneous considerations unrelated to the subject of the survey. Respondents, for instance, may say that democracy does not work well because they are dissatisfied with the incumbent government or with one of their recent decisions. So even with those opinion polls, we must admit that we do not know exactly how many citizens believe in the validity of their political system. Commentators express concerns about the rise of electoral abstention, construed as a symptom of a possible crisis of representative democracy. Such an analysis implies that electoral participation would be a tacit expression of support for democracy. In fact, causes and meanings of electoral abstention or participation are diverse. All abstention cannot be interpreted as signs of distrust of democracy, as well as all people who participate in elections do not care to express their commitment to democracy. In addition, we must take into consideration that no practical, official or non-official consequences are attached to the variation in the level of electoral participation. For instance, as you know, electoral abstention is particularly high in member states of the European Union for elections to the European Parliament. For instance, there were, in 2014, there were only 13% in Slovakia, 13% of registered voters who participated in the election. It was 19% in Czech Republic. It was 39% in France. In spite of these low levels of turnout, members of European Parliament have been considered as regularly elected. They wield the powers devolved to the European Parliament, and these powers have been increased in recent years. No open crisis of legitimacy can be observed. Social sciences are empirical sciences. Social scientists must always try to stick to empirical observations, especially when it comes to difficult issues such as legitimacy. On such grounds, we can observe in some cases claims of legitimacy for decision on the grounds of their democratic character. Let me give a French example. Very recently, an electoral regional body in the south of France decided to build a dam to provide a sufficient supply of water for irrigation. Opponents to the project argued that the dam would destroy precious farmland and part of fauna and flora, including rare species. They organized several demonstrations on the building site of the dam. A grenade thrown by the police killed a young demonstrator at the end of October 2014. Elected officials and supporters of the dam criticized opponents, arguing that demonstrations and demonstrators were undemocratic. They stressed that the decision to build the dam had been taken by elected representatives and that those who opposed it did not have any democratic title to justify their attempts to prevent the progress of the construction. They added that the only acceptable way to oppose the project would be to vote against those who decided to build the dam at the next elections. Such claims are not necessarily evidence of beliefs in the legitimacy of decision makers and of their decisions. Because claims may be value-oriented, instrumental, or both. Proponents of the dam may say that opponents do not respect democratic values because this argument seems convincing and could rally support for their cause. It does not necessarily mean that they themselves are convinced that decisions taken in accordance with democratic procedures must be respected in all circumstances. However, it may mean that they think that beliefs in the validity of decisions taken in accordance with democratic procedures exist in the public. Similarly, precautions taken by those who violate the rules of legitimate exercise of democratic power betray in practice, possibly in contradiction with their explicit discourses, that their fears about belief in the validity of these rules. As you know, Max Weber notes that the thief also takes the possible validity of the criminal law into account when he eyes to make thefts and burglaries. The painstaking secrecy observed in preparations of coup and concerns about the control of mass media after their implementations are or may be regarded as empirical evidence of assumptions about the existence of belief in democratic legitimacy in the calculations of those who fight democratic legitimacy. Such behaviors are interesting because they are indicators, although imperfect and imprecise, of Max Weber assumptions regarding the legal rational legitimacy. Democratic legitimacy is a legal rational legitimacy. It is a belief and it is a basis for claim in the validity of procedures that allocate powers to agents more or less directly chosen by universal suffrage. However, the notion of legal rational legitimacy is ambiguous. It may concern decisions taken under legal, especially constitutional rules. It may refer to the validity of pretensions to decide from those who have been placed in decision-making position by constitutional rules. It may apply to the polity that gives decision-making powers to those who have been designated in accordance with the legal rules. Also, from a sociological point of view, the problem remains to know how the democratic legitimacy of decisions, decision makers, or an allocation of power over decision could be observed and asserted. One possible way is to follow the path opened by Weber and to link democratic legitimacy to domination. As you know, according to Weber, domination is the probability that certain specific commands will be obeyed by a given group of persons. Powers refers to command and domination to obedience. Weber rightly insists that there are several reasons to obey, and therefore several possible bases of domination. One can obey without reasons, or without thinking about reasons for obeying. For instance, in many circumstances, when we stop at traffic lights, we obey the rules out of habit. We may also obey because we believe it is our interest to do so. For example, because we estimate that it would be more costly and risky to resist than to submit. But Weber is especially interested in a special case of obedience linked to a sense of duty and obligation. He writes that social activities may be oriented by a representation of a legitimate order and therefore by a feeling of obligation. An order may be said to be valid when obedience is based on such sense of duty. We need to notice that when, after Weber, we conceive beliefs in the validity as representations, we regard them as explicit, articulate, and developed viewpoints about legitimacy. Weber adds that the beliefs in the legitimacy are the surest foundation of dominations. All dominations seek to awake and maintain beliefs in their legitimacy. And the fact that claims of legitimacy have credit consolidates their existence. Following these theoretical hypotheses, decisions taken by democratic authorities would be obeyed because citizens consider that they must be obeyed because they have been taken in accordance to democratic rules and they are democratic and hence legitimate. Weber is aware that such assumptions raise difficulties, many difficulties. A first one is what is and how to observe the degree of adherence beyond which an order can be considered as valid and therefore legitimate. Weber writes about the necessity of a significant extent of beliefs in the validity of the rules, which is rather vague. Another difficulty lies in the fact that Weber himself suggests that the validity of an order can be understood in several ways, which leads him to speculate that the validity of an order depends on adherence of its meaning as it is understood on average. In fact, empirical evidence shows that, as far as they exist, there are different conceptions of democracy in general public. For instance, for some people, democracy is social justice. For others, is regular election. As a result, an order could be considered democratic by some and not by others, which could be an additional difficulty for those seeking to observe beliefs in the validity of that order. So one main difficulty of Weber's theory of legitimacy is empirical. Beliefs in validity with the possible variation of their contents, and even more, the proportion of these beliefs among all the reasons that incite individuals to obey orders are very difficult to observe, if it is ever possible to observe them. The problem should perhaps be taken from a different angle. We could think about legitimacy by analogy with Karl Popper's discussion of the demarcation criterion between science and non-science. As you know, according to Popper, it is impossible to demonstrate that a proposition has been verified. Therefore, a theory may be said scientific when statements must be capable of conflicting with possible or conceivable observations. By analogy, we cannot say that a democratic power is legitimate because orders of those who will it are obeyed, but we may assume that democratic legitimacy is under threat when official orders are not obeyed. The success of an attempt overthrow of a democratic government does not imply that conviction about its legitimacy have disappeared, or even that they are in a minority. At least, we may assume that a crisis of a regime is also a crisis of its legitimacy, and that a crisis in its legitimacy implies that skepticism about the validity of the democratic government is shared by a significant proportion, yet impossible to measure exactly, of the mobilized adversaries. The only sound empirical evidence of the legitimacy of a democratic regime could be the absence of significant public expressions of hostile views and even more of practical attempt to overthrow it. Also, as long as there is no massive disobedience movements against established power, we can consider that there are beliefs in its validity. The problem is that we may observe an increasing number of mobilizations against decisions taken by democratic authorities. Street demonstrations have become important in current activity of democracies. Many decisions, and even draft decisions of governments, are fought by this means. Organizations or more informal movements representing interests affected by decisions under discussion organize street demonstrations to attract media attention and gain public support. The aim, of course, is to bring the government to make concessions or to abandon its project. Such protest demonstrations are multiplying, for instance, in many European countries. Street demonstrations were seen in the past as potentially subversive. They fell within what political science calls non-conventional participation. Most of them are now much more peaceful, mundane, and conventional. They were a form of expression of the working classes in the past. They are now practiced by a growing number of groups, including among middle classes and privileged categories. Authors have supported the hypothesis that democracies would become ungovernable or more difficult to govern. Conversely, it is arguable that sequences of events in which projects of decision generate mobilization and protest, resulting in discussions, concessions, and compromises, are typical features of a democracy. A consequence is that a decision taken by a democratic government is not automatically obeyed. The democratic titles of the decision makers are not sufficient conditions for their decisions to be accepted. However, refusal to comply with decisions of a democratic government do not mean that the legitimacy of this government is challenged. Those who oppose decisions taken by a government do not question the legitimate right of government to make decisions, even if the proliferation of protest movements tends to reduce the scope of that right. They even less question the selection of decision makers for competitive elections. We may thus posit that even if they are difficult to observe, there are diffuse supports of the validity of the democratic mode of selection of political rulers and of their rights to make decisions from state leadership positions. There also comes the legitimacy of the state. Democracies are organized within the framework of a state. It is widely acknowledged after Max Weber that the state is an institution that successfully claims the monopoly of legitimate use of physical violence within a given territory. However, state legitimacy is not limited to the exclusive use of physical violence. Following Pierre Bourdieu, we may say that a state has a very special symbolic power of officialization. That is to say, a symbolic power to make things official. States have a symbolic power, a very strong symbolic power, to transform particular viewpoints, for instance, an electoral platform of a winning political party or candidate, into official decisions. A viewpoint imposed by a state is no longer a viewpoint, but an official and therefore a legitimate vision. States are able to impose a lot of things. For instance, official language, official spelling, official calendar, winter and summer times, public holidays, measurement units, compulsory education, school programs, currency, state-centered vision of history and geography, educational, vocational, and professional titles and categories, a common culture that generates common memories, emotions, feelings of belonging, and identities. Because of these powers, states contribute to the logic and moral integration of their populations. A consequence is that the mere existence of states and of many states' decisions seem natural, self-evident, and therefore taken for granted. Many states' decisions and institutions have become mental structures of the population. For instance, it is because of borders built by states that we perceive those who cross the borders as migrants. Among other cognitive tools, we perceive the world through state categories. State categories are in our minds. Members of the state population have assimilated many states category principles of divisions, classification, and ordering. Obedience to many states' decisions are therefore immediate and non-reflexive. The state and many of its decisions, rules, and institutions are accepted as evident. They are obeyed without any prior and reflexive thinking. States benefit from a peculiar form of legitimacy, which may be characterized as immediate, evident, practical, and tacit. This form of tacit recognition of the legitimacy of the state is very different from what is usually assumed in hypotheses about beliefs in validity, or desire to direct activities according to explicit maxims related to validity. Two consequences can be drawn from these hypotheses regarding the legitimacy of the state. The first one is that state and democratic legitimacies are so intertwined that it is probably impossible to disentangle them. It is an additional reason why democratic legitimacy remains elusive. A second consequence is that to the extent that recognitions of democratic legitimacy exist in the social world, we should consider many of them rather as tacit, immediate, and practical consents than as reflexive adherence to explicit maxims. Including reflexive adherence to explicit maxims likely to be verbalized in opinions or in answers to opinion polls. This is another reason why democratic legitimacy remains so elusive. I thank you very much for your attention.